as we're talking about trades, Toddy, there was a big trade that went on while we were gone. OG Anunoby was traded to the Knicks for RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly. I know there were other guys in there. I know there were some picks in there, but this was the main package of the trade. So before I ask you to break down the trade for me, Toddy, we've only seen them play 3 games. Who won this trade, in your opinion?
I feel like this trade was fairly even if you kind of look at it. OG Anunoby has kind of been a guy that's been rumored in trade since I believe last year, and like there was even a report saying, "Oh, I want 6 first-round picks for OG Anunoby," which was the insanest thing that I heard in a while. But kind of just looking at the trade, I think Prince Ashuya, I can't really pronounce the name, also was a part of this trade as well. Um, it's fairly even trade on both sides. If you kind of look at it from the standpoint of the Knicks need a little bit more wing perimeter scoring slash defending. That's what they got in OG Anunoby and shooting as well. I believe the Knicks are 3-0 since acquiring OG Anunoby. That's including the win tonight over the Sixers, which was like a 30, almost a 40-point victory, which is insane. Um, RJ has not really lived up to what the Knicks would have hoped that he should have been. He signed an extension, I believe it was last year that he signed an extension. Um, Emmanuel Quickly, I feel like, is going to flourish the most from this trade. He's going to basically be able to spread his wings and fly because I think most of hoopers, people who watch basketball, people who play basketball, know that Quickly is a guy who can get his shot at any given moment, has a very quick first step. And we've kind of seen the burst off of the bench in spurts for the New York Knicks. And for him to kind of go to the Raptors and be able to, play with a guy in Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam for now. I think that Quickly you'll see a lot more production from him and, him being in that starting role from coming off of the bench most of the time. I feel like Quickly, you'll see his numbers probably increase because he'll be playing a lot more. He'll be in that role of I wouldn't say number one guy, but, the starting point guard. And I feel like he will be able to, produce for you. And, it's a little bit of mixing and matching. I feel like Toronto's in a weird spot because I feel like Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam are basically the same player. So it's kind of hard for Scotty to kind of be the guy who he wants to be when Pascal Siakam is there and they kind of play the same position. So it's a little bit redundant. That's why I said for now earlier, if you guys were paying attention, I think Pascal Siakam's gone. And Toronto, there are reports, from Sham Charania, Adrian Wojnarowski that the Raptors are still seeking a trade for Pascal. And so he'll most likely be traded before the trade deadline, as reports were saying. So we'll kind of see what this team will look like. I don't know if they're trying to rebuild or they're just trying to create a roster around Scotty on the fly and kind of just, all right, let's get these players to kind of pair with Scotty so they can still kind of contend, but it's going to be hard just to try and get that chemistry. About a little bit over a quarter into the season. So I like this trade on both sides. It kind of just works out, and I feel like the Knicks Tom Thibodeau loves the OG Anunoby type of player. The way that he defends, he's always looking for guys that can defend on the perimeter. So I'd say it's probably an even trade on both sides, and we'll see what RJ Barrett can he, going back to kind of his hometown. Is he going to be able to flourish and be what he? Maybe some guys just need a change of scenery, and him being able to go home. He said he grew up a Toronto Raptors fan as a kid, which makes sense. So can RJ be what he wasn't in New York? I'm not sure, but, only time will tell.
Only time will tell, correct. And if you ask me who won this trade, it has to be the Toronto Raptors. Emmanuel Quickly in his 2 games averaging 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. RJ Barrett is averaging 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. The reason I say the Raptors won this deal, the Knicks got the better player, yes, but OG did not trade for him and automatically signed him to an extension. So if this Knicks team doesn't really flourish and become anything, they could have traded away Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett, which is arguably their future. Right now, the Knicks are 20 and 15, and they're at the 6th seed. So trading away RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly, does this now big three make them a top 6 lock? I don't know, because there's a lot of teams at the bottom that are struggling right now that can contend, but there's still a lot of season over the way. But RJ Barrett, like Toddy mentioned, going back home, I think this is the perfect scenario for us to see the Montverde RJ, the Duke RJ. He's going to have to be the second fiddle on this team because, like Toddy mentioned, this Raptors team signed Fred VanVleet, so they're kind of letting go of that old team that won the ring, and now they're starting over with Scotty Barnes, and that's a hell of a player to start over with. We mentioned maybe about 2 episodes ago that he was my this week in the NBA because he was killing, dominating, and that really showed the Raptors that we can play around this guy. We can build around this guy. He can be a centerpiece on this team. So Pascal going, like Toddy mentioned, that there's been rumors that he's going to go, so he is the next one to fall. So I just really believe that they are going young. They're going to get a lot of draft picks, and I believe that the Raptors won this trade just because OG is not signed. So if the Knicks do what the Knicks do, I don't think he's going to resign. So Toddy, the next question I have for you is, what do the Knicks need to accomplish this season for OG to feel confident in resigning?
Well, it's New York, first of all. I think the Knicks aren't done as far as acquiring talent. You're hearing rumblings about Donovan Mitchell, Joel Embiid, guys like that. So, one, it's location. Everyone who doesn't want to live in New York. I feel like that plays a big role into it. And two, just being able to go to the playoffs. Was OG on the championship team? I don't believe he was on the championship team. So he knows what it's like to win the title. He wants to be able to obviously compete. And are they going to be able to sign him? I mean, if they're going to be able to pay what he believes that he's worth, I mean, if they're willing to throw like 100, like 4 for what?
Easily 100 for 4. That's the starting point.
No, I'm saying like he would be like probably like a 4 for what? 120, 130? Like if they're able to pay him that, he's gonna be like, where do I sign? So I mean, money's gonna obviously be a role, but I think they have to be competitive. They got to win a playoff series. I mean, they won one last year and beating the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round. Can they make a deep playoff run? I think they believe OG can be like a cornerstone type of piece. I feel like they're like another superstar player away from them kind of being able to go. But I feel like OG will stay if they're willing to pay him. So it's not like he's going to or like where else would he realistically go?
But I mean, he had to get traded. So now if he's a free agent, he can go anywhere.
Yeah, so.
And when you look at the contenders in the East, you don't even think about the Knicks. If the playoffs started today, they would play the Pacers in a 7-game series. Do you feel confident taking the Knicks over the Pacers today?
No. No.
If we can see Tyrese Halliburton beat the Bucks 4 times, they're winning that series in 6. So it's going to be a toss-up, man, because if they can't resign,
he still might test free agency, but I feel like he'll stay.
Oh, if he tested, he's gone. If they don't end the season with an extension, he's out of there, bro. You don't test it and then come back to be like, oh, you know what? I don't want to win. We can do whatever we do here. I just want to play in New York. I know Aaron Rodgers is in town, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to really want people to stay. So.
I feel like another part of it is what else are the Knicks prepared to do? Like, who else are they trying to lure to New York? Would also play a big role, and that could affect his bag as well. If it's getting another superstar, so he might not get as much as he would have hoped if he, decides to stay versus, leaving and getting a bag somewhere else. So a lot of key factors play into it too. Is if they're willing to go after and try and get a guy in Donovan Mitchell, that may affect his bag as far as that 150. That 150 could be 120 very quickly.
But like Uncle Manny said for the audio only listeners, I think the trade worked for the Raptors and the Knicks. Have a great show. We appreciate you like always, Uncle Manny. Even though you are a Cowboys fan, we always do appreciate it.